No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
Hi everybody. Hello my little ninjas. How are you tonight? Thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. And welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. And as always, we begin your Wake and Bake News with a big fat puff. So if you'd like to have a puff with Mox, then follow me and do exactly as you see. You ready? I'm almost ready. You ready? I'm almost ready. I'm almost, just a sec. Almost ready. Almost. Okay, I'm ready. You ready? Here we go. All right, so I'm feeling much better now. Did I say hello, my little ninjas? Thank you for tuning in. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. We do this every night at 7 p.m., so if you're new, be sure and subscribe and hit the notifications bell. That way you will never miss out on one of our live streams. And wouldn't that be cool? Because it's always better when you're here. Never forget. In fact, if you're not here, what's the point? I would just be talking to myself. And speaking of which, this is a call-in show. So the number's right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. That's 805 Mox News. And I'll be happy to talk to anybody. We have videos tonight. Oh, I lost my video list. Here it is. Are you talking to me?
No. DoorDash.
Okay, so I have numerous videos for you this evening. and I am ready to play all of them. But I think that this is really important. If we're going to talk about racism, I think this is really important that we all get on the same page of where we're coming from. Okay? So this is real.
Trump won the election. Among the suspect's possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, you know, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer saying this to CNN. This was a guy simply...
Okay, so people walking around with white privileged cards named scot-free. And it's a lifetime membership. I don't know. Is racism rampant in this country? Is it just out of control? Everywhere you go, you see racist, or is it just like in the news, you know? And I know there's racism. I see it in the policing. You know, I've seen it for decades, if not my entire life, in the policing. You know. But it's not just that. I've talked about the programming, like the Dirty Harry programming, you know, where you see this little white girl and she's walking down a dark street and all of a sudden there's this scary music and a black guy jumps out, or 4 black guys jump out, or, you know, a black guy and a Puerto Rican guy. But it's always this programming, you know. I remember it from when I was little, but I didn't really notice it then. But it's obvious to me now, you know. You don't see it as much now, but I think that but again, you see it in the policing. That's where it's the most obvious, you know. The black neighborhoods, if they see, it's like if the cops see you on the street, they're going to pull over and harass you. At least that's the way I've heard it is. So, and I've shown you guys videos of, like, home surveillance cameras, like on someone's driveway, and there's a little kid playing basketball outside, and he's like 8 years old or something, and he sees a cop car coming, and he's 8 years old, and he runs and hides. You know, it's not like he just committed a crime and he's a wanted criminal, so he can't let the cops see him. It's because he's terrified that the cops are going to hurt him in some way. So, you know, you can't say that there's no racism. Obviously, there's racism, and I worry a lot about it because, again, I want there to be equality for everyone. I don't see our species evolving if we look down on anyone. You know, I mean, we had a caller the other day talking about how the average IQ in Somalia is 60. You know, and I immediately hung up on that person. Because this is not a format for you to bash on somebody. Oh, look, my Boo Bear's here. There's my Boo Bear. Hi, Boo Boo. This is not a forum for you to come here and bash on an entire nationality of people. You know, that's not what we're about. I want to, you know, address wrongs in the world, but just bashing on somebody because they're Somali or from Africa, that seems kind of wrong to me. And we've had other people talk about backwards people, you know, like goodbye. Because again, that's not where we're coming from, and that's not where I'm coming from. I have this policy of, you know, reaching down to lift up people. I think that that's the way the world should be, as it, you know, again, as if everyone actually did matter, and when someone else needed a lift up to help reach that potential of feeling like they matter, or actually maybe making something happen in the world. Who knows who we might lift up? We might lift up somebody who could change the planet because they got that hand up. You know, they got a better life because someone cared for a minute. That's the thing about equality for me, is that if we don't have it, then we're missing out on all these people who we probably need. We probably need very badly, because something's going seriously wrong on our planet right now. And, you know, I'm not saying that the least amongst us is the place that we find the answer, but I believe that's definitely part of the answer, because, you know, and I'm not trying to somehow quote Jesus. I just want equality. And I think that that's the place where you begin. The people who need the most help, you lift them up. And I want this not because I want equality. I want it because I see it as this thing. Again, I talk again about evolution of our species, and how it's clear that the people in government, in the Congress, are doing their best to keep the next evolution of the human race in check. They don't want it moving forward. And anyone who's paying attention should be able to see that and know that. So, you know, I see these people, as all people, as because we are the tippy top of the food chain, able to make happen anything that we can imagine, and who knows who can imagine, you know. So if we make everybody equal, and everybody's able to make the things happen that they can imagine, or at least strive towards that, wouldn't that be an amazing planet to live on? And not only that, I mean, think of all the revolution. This would mean the complete evolution, the next evolution of mankind. This is how we make it happen, by valuing everyone and lifting them up to where they can actually make a contribution, if only to our neighborhoods, or if not to, you know, mankind itself. So I think that we're really missing out. I think that it's partially our fault, because it's not a priority to, you know, to scream at our government about we have to make life better for these people. Because when we talk about homeless people, it's not that we want to make life better for them. It's that they're messing up our city, and we got to get these people out of here. And, you know, the easiest way to get them out of there is to lift them up and to give them better options for life. And like when the black neighborhoods, and I don't mean to be, you know, saying something negative about black neighborhoods, but and although what I am trying to say is that again, when we see the homeless people and how people comment on that, it's not that we need to lift these people up so that they have better lives and they can be productive and don't want to live this way anymore. It's that we need to get these people out of here because it's just ugly and I don't want to look at it anymore. And again, the easiest way to do that is to lift the people up. Now, when it comes to the black neighborhoods, we're like, oh, there's all this problems in the black neighborhoods. We need to police those neighborhoods more. That's what we need. And this is the racism that I'm talking about. Is that, you know, instead of saying, hey, how do we lift these people up and make their neighborhoods better, we put them under the thumb of the police state, the comply or die police state, where we see people getting murdered everywhere by police. You know, Breonna Taylor was just the anniversary of her murder. You know, we see this happening everywhere. But it doesn't happen in the rich neighborhoods, now does it? And it's not because there's not crime going on in the rich neighborhoods. Those people are as dirty as anybody, guaranteed. probably dirtier than most. The problem is that, again, it's the way we look at this. You know, homeless people, let's get this out of my way. I just don't want to look at this shit anymore. Not how do we lift these people up where they don't have to live that way anymore. The crime-ridden black neighborhoods, not how do we make this better so these people don't have to live like this, where they have to be in fear of crime. And instead of that, we send in the police, the comply or die police state. So now not only do they have to be afraid of crime, they also have to be terrified of the police. This is our government in action. They'll tell you, oh, that we're the bleeding heart liberals that are trying to help everyone. Do you see them helping anyone? Their idea of help, again, is to listen to the people saying, oh, we don't want this in our neighborhood. Can you get rid of these fucking homeless people? It's screwing up the prices of our houses. Or, you know, start policing that neighborhood over there more. It's starting to spread into our neighborhood. We're not, and that's not acceptable for our neighborhood. You know, instead of, again, making it better so that people don't have to live that way. And I have a Kennedy clip tonight where they're talking about the crisis at the border and the problem with the immigration right now. And she makes it clear, again, as I have done my best again and again and again, to point out that one of the big problems is the black market created by the war on drugs. And because of that, again, I've told you many times that, you know, I understand that 80% of crime is created by the black market, by the basically the war on drugs. 80% of crime. And who does that benefit the most? The police state. Because the more crime there is, the more we need the police state, the more we need to fund the police state, the more we need more and more police. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark. How's it going? This is Manny.
All right, Manny. How about you, bro?
I'm okay, man. So here is the thing, dude. When I grew up in Mexico, I grew up on a middle upper class environment.
But what
I
now?
wasn't rich, but I wasn't poor either. I was kind of like a middle upper class.
You were middle
Well, I-
middle upper class. Is that what you said?
Yes, when I grew up in Mexico,
Right on. What kind of did you live, like in a suburban neighborhood, or what? Where did you live?
Yes. Well, the place is no longer suburban, though. It's part of the city now because it has grown up so fast. I used
Sure.
to live in the border.
Yeah.
I used to live in the border town of Mexicali, which is,
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
heard of Mexicali. Go ahead with what you were saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So and I was listening to the argument you're saying about, you know, the homeless people and the non-desirable people hanging out on the places that they're not supposed to be hanging out. Though, I mean, this is gonna sound bad, dude, but I mean, unfortunately, there are some elements, and there are some people who will not want to be hanging around that area. So.
You're saying that there's
people.
people who are not going to want to help the least among us have a better life a foot up. Is that what you're saying?
No. There's a reason why there's no race signs.
Why what
No
now?
lottery signs. There's a reason why there is no loitering signs. You don't know what these people are. Yes, some people legitimately need help and legitimately are homeless for legitimate reasons. And there are others who are by choice.
No,
I
look, Manny, I do understand that. I don't know if you understand why people would be live outdoors by choice, but I can tell you why. And it's because one of the big reasons is they don't want to have a slow death in front of a television.
That could be a fair argument, which I respect that.
And but
Especially.
yeah.
I mean, I know old people who, I mean, they retire way over the years and they're still trying to do work, hustling for side jobs,
Yeah.
doing things like lawn cutting for the neighbors,
Yeah, no,
And
you
stuff
know
like
what?
that.
One of my neighbors, he goes out and he brings in everybody's trash cans, and there's like a walkway where it gets all covered with pine cones and other kind of leaves and stuff when the trees start to drop their leaves. And he goes out there and he rakes up all the leaves, and it's like a half a mile from his house. He's just keeping this walk through all clean for the whole neighborhood. I hear, and he's like 65 or 70, somewhere between there. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I hear what you're saying. People.
It is respectable. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and I commend those people because they want to keep themselves busy and they want to have a purpose, basically.
Well, it's not
There's
just that.
nothing wrong with that.
They make the neighborhood a nicer place to be too.
Yeah. It gives them a purpose because I mean,
Which is a big part of why I talk about this homeless thing and lifting the people up. Number one, it's going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot cheaper than having to deal with these people over and over and over and over and over. It's going to be so much cheaper just to lift them up and give them a place to be off the streets until they're able to do that on their own. I guarantee so much cheaper. And the other thing is that as we're just saying about the gentleman who lives in my neighborhood and brings in everybody's trash cans and sweeps up all the leaves and shit, he is making his neighborhood better. As I just said, and that's the neighborhood that he lives in. So he's making the world a better place for him. And the thing is all these people who complain about the homeless people, again, if you lift up these people and give them a better quality of life, make a better quality in your city, then that's the city you live in, and you're making it a better place to be for everyone, not just these homeless people.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Well, back to the main point that I was talking about. When I used to live in that area, though, a lot of my neighbors. I mean, it used to be a gated community, and it still is a gated community. But back then, we didn't have like barbed wires and electric fences. Last time I went there, like 6 years ago, now they have barbed wires and electric fences because of the insecurity and what is going on in Mexicali. Like, I mean, it's a border town. There's a lot of people from South and Central Mexico, and in the last year or two, you see a lot of Central Americans who are camping near the border, though, and a lot of people don't have, since they don't have anything to do, they're starting to steal stuff. So this idea of like
right, this is my point, is that if you just make sure that they have food, it's going to be much less, it's going to be so much cheaper for the community than actually letting them commit crimes.
That's true. But okay, so back to my point though. There are people who you can see right away. You can see right away they don't belong there. And yes, it sounds profiling. And I'm guilty of that. I used to do that a lot when I was a young man as well, because you can see right away, because the way they dress, because the way their skin looks. I'm not talking about the color of the skin, but the complexion of the skin. Like,
are you going to look at me and go, yeah, that guy doesn't belong here? Because you would join a long list of people who have done that to me for a long time.
I mean, unfortunately, perception is reality in a lot of situations now.
Right. The reality is that people grow hair on their face. That's what they're designed to do, and the perversion is shaving it off day after day after day after day. So basically, I'm trusting in God, and I look the way that God made me, as opposed to pointing at a picture of Tom Cruise and saying, I want to look like this. Because that's what people do. They go to the hairstylist and they look through magazines and they go, oh, this supermodel, I want to make me look like this. Even just my hair. But
anyway,
what?
So my point is, what I'm trying to tell you with this, Max, is that, I mean, yes, profiling in a lot of circumstances is pretty unfair. But there's other times that profiling, there's a reason why there's a profile of people. And there's a reason why a lot of the times that profiles tend to be on spot.
Okay, I'll tell you something, Manny.
Same thing with stereotypes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the reason why stereotypes keep going and keep being alive is not because of ignorance. It's because a lot of the times the stereotypes tend to be true.
Yeah,
Which
let me
is essentially it's a
let me
direct
tell you
way of
let me tell you
profiling.
about profiling, Manny. Okay, I just told you about my neighborhood, how nice it is, how one of the neighbors pulls in everybody's trash can and fucking sweeps up all the dead leaves and stuff. I just told you what a nice neighborhood I live in. I got profiled in this neighborhood by a cop who pulled me over when I was walking home from the grocery store. And he told me that I look like, what do they say? A person that they're looking for or whatever. I look like a person of interest. I don't know. You look like this person that we're looking for, right? And I looked at him and said, "You're looking for someone carrying 3 bags of groceries?" And, and he turned and walked away and left me alone.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part, man. That's the negative consequence of profiling, though. But unfortunately, a lot of times profiling tends to be right. And yes,
Again,
you're not
how
supposed
about
to profile about
programming,
it.
Manny? How about programming that you've been programmed to believe that the police state is correct? How about that? How about
Well,
questioning it a little bit more than just going, yeah, the profiling makes sense because that's what they were saying in the 1950s, dude. And we're not in the 1950s anymore. And it'd be really good if you could come into, the 21st century and try and, not have some like preset thing in your mind about who people are.
I see. Well, anyways, Max, I mean, I'm guilty of doing that, and it's just a gut feeling. Like, when
We're
you
we're
see
all
certain
we're
people,
all guilty of it, Manny. I'm just saying you should do your best not to do that because it's
well,
not.
In America, I try not to, though. But when you're in Mexico, dude, yeah, if you're too naive, you're gonna be eaten alive.
Hey, you know what? I don't walk around being naive, Manny. I'm very. I look. I walk around going la 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 la, but I can tell you how many people are on the street. I can tell you where they are all positioned. I know what's happening around me. Okay, so I just don't look like it, and I don't carry that with me. Like that's who I am. It is who I am, and it's an automatic thing that I do. It's partially how I was trained, but it's not how I'm like. I'm not this soldier who's ready to you know kill everybody I see. I'm just aware of who they are, where they are, and and so it's just a natural thing. So it's not like. I'm saying to just be out of what's going on and not realize who it is that you're dealing with. I'm saying, if you give most people a chance, they're never going to be any kind of a threat to you. Or at least me. I'm not looking for trouble. I don't start trouble, and I'm not somebody that you want to mess with because I don't know. I don't. I'm like most people should be. I'm a wild animal, and that's why cops are so threatened by each and every one of us. 9-year-old girl in handcuffs who they have to pepper spray in the face because we
Oh
are.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that. It was in downtown Seattle last time, last May Day protest, right? That they paper spray a 9-year-old in front of the Nordstrom building.
Yeah. Oh,
That
that
was
was the one
crazy.
in Seattle. That was. I'm not sure if that was a boy or a girl. That person
No,
was.
there was a little Asian girl who got like legit pepper spray in the
The
face,
one
like
in
point
Seattle,
blank.
she was 8 years. If it was a girl, she was 8 years old, and no, the one I'm talking about was Pennsylvania, I think, and it might have been Ohio. I'm not sure. And she was 9 years old, and there was 6 giant cops around her, and they were having trouble getting her, and she's handcuffed, and they're having trouble getting her in the cop car, and they fucking pepper spray her, this little girl, in the face to show this little girl who the fuck is in charge. Again, the comply or die police state, because you can kill some. There's an epidemic of asthma. among the children in the United States now. And if you hit them with the pepper spray, you could kill them. That's who these cops are. They don't give a fuck. They can't deal with a fucking 9-year-old. Handcuffed 9-year-old girl. Okay? That's who the police are in this country.
I see. But anyways, all right, so let me finish my point, Mark.
Uh-huh.
Because of that experience, I mean, and this happens in Mexico a lot, like perception and reality. Yes, the way people dress and the way their complexion, like not the color of the skin, but the texture of the skin, you can tell whether or not this person is a person that is supposed to belong there or not. And I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just telling you the way it works on there. And there have been occasions in Mexico, in the residential area that I used to be, because it's the killing of a gated community over here in the U.S., but we have security guards now. And there's barbed wires, and there's like electric barbed wire, basically the killing for that. Because a lot of people used to jump there and start stealing in the residential area. You can talk when a person doesn't belong there, and we call the security guards, and they're asking questions, and if they don't have any business, they're asked to leave the place, or they're going to be arrested for trespassing.
So you call the security guard and you tell him, hey, there's somebody here with the wrong complexion. You better get your ass up here and take care of this. Is that right, man?
No. There's a person, I'm not sure if this person lives here or not. Can you guys double check on that? They go there, they start asking questions. As far as I know, they ask, like, if they know somebody over there, like, what's their business over there. And if they cannot convince the security guard, they are politely asked to leave the premises. If they resist, then they take further action. Though.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have to do that because of the security that happened in Mexico, Mark.
Sure.
So, I mean, you don't know if the person is trying to kidnap anybody else, or there is a hawk trying to see whether or not there's people. No, not a hawk. What do you call it? A scout.
A coyote?
So, no, a scout. So a scout is basically a bunch of people or teenagers, kids who are like just surveilling things, so they can tell their superiors or their bosses, hey, this person is behaving this way, or like this is that movement. So when
this is why I keep saying that we have to end the drug war, because if we just end the drug war, then those people's funding goes away. They don't have money to do all. They don't have a never-ending river of money coming at them that they can do anything what they want. Buy fucking scouts, buy teenagers, or whatever they fucking want, and spread this crime wave everywhere. Okay, that's entirely because of the drug war, or at least 80% of it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, there's people who are actually surveilling things around to find out weaknesses, and then like when that person is on the low point, or that person is around the house, they can steal the house, or they can steal their stuff. And it happens a lot. It happens a lot in Mexico, and most of those kids are like late elementary, early middle school kids who do that for like a quick cash. And I mean, I have to be even aware of those kids, because you never know if those kids are just kids or they're in the wrong steps. They're doing the wrong thing. So yeah, I have to be careful of that. Make sure that they're not scouting the area for something. I heard stories about that. Acquaintances and former classmates from my school, they used to tell me like, oh yeah, I noticed that a bunch of kids are scouting the area. So we call the security guards and the police to talk to them, and then the kids leave. But yeah, I mean, the dynamic in Mexico is completely different than the dynamics over here in the U.S. And I feel like because of our safety concerns that we have over there, unfortunately, we have to profile people. That's just the way it is, Max.
No, Manny, what you have to do is listen to what I'm saying. The drug war, ending it, is the only way to make crime go away. Okay? I'm not talking about the decriminalization of drugs, because all that's going to do is send more money to the black market. I'm talking about the legalization of all drugs. and then half of the fucking crap, the meth, the heroin, half of it's just gonna stop because people have other selections that are quite better, much more like a fine wine than a fucking, something that's gonna just mess your world. So and as long as the drug war stays in place, the black market stays in place. And as long as the black market stays in place, there's going to be triple the amount of crime that there currently is. I mean, there's going to be triple the amount of crime as if, rather than if we took that black market away, it would cut crime by 2/3. At least.
Yeah, and I understand the theory behind that and the concept, which, I mean, in theory and paper sounds great.
No, you look at fucking Portugal. They legalized all drugs, and the heroin use dropped off to almost nothing. It's like 4% of what it was before.
I see. Well, anyways, Mark, I just want to share that experience with you from me. That doesn't make me a racist. It doesn't make me a bad person, though. It's just I'm trying to watch my back because you don't know if these persons have good intentions or they have bad intentions. And unfortunately, it's just the way the dynamic works in Mexico.
But you can probably tell if they have good intentions or bad intentions by the complexion that they have, right, Manny?
Well, I mean, a lot of people that they need money or they need something like that, and then when you try to give them money, next thing you know, they rob you. And I've seen a lot of stories and a lot of news stories in Mexico on the local newspaper.
Yes, that happens here too, Manny. People say, "Oh, I want to pick up this thing that you have advertised on Craigslist," and then people come over and rob them. That happens everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the dynamics in the U.S. are completely different, though. And I feel like a lot of people just get offended just by the fact that I say these kind of things. Though. But unfortunately, I feel like these people are completely naive and they haven't been outside their bubble, or their suburban, upper middle class bubble of the U.S., which is nice. I don't want to lie, I really like it, though. But it's just they need to get out more often and go to these third world countries. So, and it's a dog-eat-dog type of situation in Mexico, unfortunately. Crabs in a bucket, survival of the fittest type of thing. That's why corruption thrives over there in Mexico big time, because of the culture. It's a cultural thing. It's just a culture. You want to call it systemic racism? That's a fair way to call it this.
I didn't say that.
But a lot of people like to call it that way. Though.
I mean, that's the way I feel about the drug war. I feel the drug war is systemic racism because generally it focuses on, again, the least amongst us. Because the people who have money, they don't ever get any problem. They get a slap on the wrist from the drug war. It's not a thing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I feel like a lot of these kids, especially the Mexican American kids, the ones that grew up over here in the U.S., they're completely disconnected of what's going on in Mexico and the dynamics how Mexico works. That's why a lot of Mexican people make fun of the Mexican American kids because they're so not fucking naive and they have this idealized idea of Mexico. But I mean, it's still different though. I mean, I have to do this kind of profiling in order to survive, basically.
Okay.
Not because I'm a bad person trying to denigrate the less fortunate or something like that. I have to be like on my 5 or 6 senses to be what's going on. When I wait on the border to cross into the U.S., there's a lot of beggars and there's a lot of people trying to sell you stuff while you're waiting in line. I don't buy anything from them. I actually raise the window because you don't know if those people are actually trying to rob you or they're legitimately trying to sell you something. And a lot of those people actually work for the organized crime. They're not like individuals trying to make money for themselves. They actually work for somebody else. And usually it's organized crime most of the time. And there have been stories that when the whole Central American caravan came into Tijuana and Mexicali, the Central Americans tried to actually start selling stuff at the border, over there where the cars wait to cross into the U.S. And they were beaten the crap by the local syndicate crime because they control they control that area. So
Well,
it's I don't know, man. From what I'm telling you, at least from my experience, I have to use that to survive.
sure. I see that all the time in the kung fu movies where, somebody comes in and they're like, no, this is our territory. You can't be here. And they kick their ass. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Everyone's not.
uh,
I just want to share that with you.
okay, Manny, it's always good to hear from you. I don't think you're a bad person.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
I don't
man.
think either, though. But I mean, it's just this American perception, this American culture, this American way of thinking that if you do that, you're automatically the most evil person available. But I feel like a lot of these kids, they haven't experienced the real world. They haven't get outside their bubble to see like why people do this. You can call it systemic racism. You can call it bigotry or something like that. For me, it's just a way that I have to do to survive, basically.
Okay. All right, Manny.
No, seriously, I'm not joking.
I'm not arguing with you, dude.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay, Manny. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
That's our buddy Manny, and he's not a racist. He just judges people by the complexion of their skin. I'm so glad he called. You're killing me, Manny. You're killing me, man. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, Mox. Hey, it's Keith from Vancouver.
Hey, Keith, how's it going, bro?
Good, man. Good to talk to you.
Right on. How's the weather in Vancouver?
Oh, it's probably similar to Washington. Very similar, actually. Cloudy with...
Oh, it's a beautiful.
weather.
It's a beautiful day today, man. I mean, I didn't actually notice any clouds. Not that they weren't there. I just didn't notice them. And actually felt I just was wearing my hoodie, which usually I wear a jacket over the hoodie. And I was like, man, I got way too much clothes on.
Yeah, man. I was out in a t-shirt. It was rad.
Yeah. So you're
man,
you're
great subject.
you're BC. Is that what you said, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, always BC. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, heavy subject. I just wanted to ask you, like, because I completely agree with you about the drug war and all that. I was wondering, conflation, that word, a lot of people conflate crazy shit like jazz, art, words with race and all. Like, someone's into marijuana in the 40s, they're a threat,
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
it seems
what
like conflation is the thing.
They used a lot of super racism, like propaganda. That if the white girls start doing smoking marijuana, they're gonna want to go after the black man or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. They're gonna get the
that's
jungle
pretty well,
fever, man.
Jungle Fever, good movie. I think a lot of people are driven by aesthetics who don't study them or look into it themselves. Like people who are secretaries or like an accountant might be really driven by aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So they conflate things regardless. They don't even know they're doing it. You know what I mean? They just associate.
Yeah, the last caller didn't seem to understand that that's what he was doing.
Yeah, he's got such a big heart, Montague or whatever.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
I always appreciate or enjoy hearing from him.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Do you have anything you want to ask me? I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
Well, I don't know. Are you so you guys can grow 4 plants up there, huh?
Yeah, it's been that way for I think 2 years. I've been sort of out of like the current update, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
I had
awesome.
4 going this year.
Are you have 4 going?
Just we're starting new ones.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just
but-
getting ready for the summer. I'm going to plant outdoor for the summer and do all organic fish emulsions and crab shell and back guano, stuff like that. I have some really great genetics too. So I'm gonna try and share the garden with everybody as soon as I can. As soon as I have the genetics all in my hand, I'm gonna be like, here's what we're growing, and if you guys want to grow it, hopefully you'll have time to get the same stuff I'm growing if you want to. But I'm really looking forward to that. So, and I'm glad to hear that you're working on a garden too.
Yeah, it's like an interesting bottom water feeder system. You know, like
Nice.
you kind of water the top, but it's like a, what do you call that when it soaks up through the bottom? Evaporation kind of thing.
I'm not really sure, but because there's all different kinds of, I have one pot where it's like 6-gallon reservoir underneath, and then like 6 gallons of soil on top. Is that kind of the thing you're talking about?
Yeah, like there's water hovering under, or the whole soil and the thing is hovering over water.
Yeah.
And so the soil is just damp. I mean, it's
Yeah,
good to water from the top to keep the roots confused, I think.
Huh. The ones I have are called octopots, and I water from the top because it seems like the soil gets a little dried out, but I only do it once or twice. Only do it once or twice, and then it seems to help a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. What else? What else? Yeah, I don't know what the.
Are you smoking any good strains right now?
Strawberry ice, actually.
Wow, that sounds
to be a good
nice.
balance.
Strawberry ice sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of a little. It's not like heavy. It's not like no THC, but it's like more of a CBD kind of.
Oh, is that right? I've been looking at
It's just
some.
smoother.
I've been looking at some 50-50 strains, like 9% THC and 9% CBD. I think that would be really choice for the dogs, honestly.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't even handle like what I used to, but it's a good compromise, I gotta say. Strawberry ice and what's the other one? What do I got here? Yeah. All good.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I forget.
Just glad to hear you got something good. That's all. I'm just checking.
Yeah, man. What do you think about, just quickly, the people who use statistics to justify their racism, which I find is the worst? Take like statistics of who's in prison and you say that's why, but that's ridiculous. That's
why I say
Sam Harris shit.
That's why I say that the most clear place you can see the systemic racism is in the policing. I think so. It's ridiculous, and it's just you're buying into the programming. If you're doing whatever it is that divides us, the first thing you have to do is recognize that you're buying into the programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people think they're smart by conflating or associating something with crime or something like race with crime. It's like that's like like fake intellectual.
I associate the drug war with crime. I keep saying if they would just legalize all drugs, end the black market, that you would end basically 80% of crime. And it's not just because of the sales of drugs, but there's a lot of crime that goes along with the black market. And, if you could end 70-80% of crime, then it would be easy to defund the police by 50%, right?
I agree. It's like, talk about terrorism or COVID. It's like the drug war was the biggest industry almost of the 20th century. Just out of nowhere, they just made this huge industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think I always talk about war profiteers, and I try to make clear that drug war profiteers are just as bad as Iraq war profiteers, and so on.
Big time, yeah. Right on, Max. Good to hear you. Good subject, and I like your dog in the back rolling around.
He's my beautiful baby. I'm always if he's not close by, I miss him so much.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll leave some space for Magic Sufi and the Mafa Michelle.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you called, and I look forward to you calling back soon.
Okay, right on, man.
Okay, stay cool. I'm going to play a quick video. Okay, bye. I'm going to play a quick video of Kennedy talking about how the drug war is causing the border crisis. And I was really glad to hear her say this, because it's this thing that I keep saying. This is where so much of the crime in our world is coming from, is this ridiculously failed drug war. And it would be something that's easy to change if we could just understand it's hurting your children. It's hurting our communities. We deserve better. I don't need to babysit my neighbor. Say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. But for some reason, our communities act like they should be babysitting all of us all the time. Can't do that. Oh, no, 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 no. You can't do that. Just because you like eating mushrooms and they grow in your front yard doesn't mean that you can eat mushrooms. That would be wrong of you. I'll be right back. Kennedy talking about how the drug war is causing the crisis on the border.
Back in Washington, D.C., the border crisis is a border circus with Democrats performing feats of rhetorical gymnastics to avoid naming the problem. No name? Hey, no solution. Here's more of DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas today, dodging lawmakers' questions.
Well, given the tremendous rise and surge of individuals coming to the border, wouldn't it be fair to call it a crisis?
I'm not spending any time on the language that we use. I am spending time on operational response to the situation at the border.
So what's with the word games? Fix it, idiots. Let's get into it with tonight's party panel. We've got comedian and Fox Across America radio host, Big Jimmy Fela is here. Great jacket, Jim. Well done. Hey. Where's your green, buddy? Are you wearing green, Jim? Oh, she is. Laura Fink is. Woo! Democrat strategist and Rebel Communications founder, Laura Fink. And we've got 2020 Libertarian vice presidential candidate, always the contrarian, Spike Cohen.
Hey.
He's back. Welcome, everyone.
One quick thing.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Kennedy.
I am not wearing green because that's a pro move. When the cops are out later.
Technically.
Yes. But when
I'm technically wearing green, just not much.
Well, again, amateur move.
Pinches.
When the cops are out later, they're specifically looking for people in green. This is my way.
I know. That's why I'm wearing green.
Well, no, this is why.
Stop and frisk me, boys!
I'm not drawing attention to my shenanigans. That's the point. But moving on, and I apologize.
So you're a stealth libertarian for St. Patrick's Day.
Very good.
You know what? Jimmy has a family. Jimmy has like 16 brothers, and they're all cops.
Every one of them.
So.
It's getting embarrassing, though. Like, if I get picked up by one more relative, that's why I'm trying to go legit tonight.
Yeah, the little get-out-of-jail-free cards don't work for him. So, Jim, I touched on this a little bit with the congressman. Let's talk about the perception of what's going on and what's really going on.
This is so infuriating to me because they are so much more concerned with the optics than the outcomes. If the Democrats ran your fire department, every house on the block would burn to the ground because you'd call them up and be like, we're on fire. And they'd be like, well, I wouldn't say it's a fire. It's more of a concerning, smoldering collection of flames. You're like, yeah, could you just send a truck? Well, it's not a truck. It's a vehicle with hoses full of water. It's so stupid to me because this isn't a political issue. These are real lives. These people coming to this border, yes, they are being incentivized by his rhetoric. And they are, let's not act like they're fleeing an all-inclusive resort. They're in a really dire situation that will only get worse until we attack this head on. Regardless of whatever rhetorical gymnastics they want to subject themselves to, they should be embarrassed. And if Joe Biden says that his rhetoric isn't responsible for this, he had said a month ago they're going to grant 25,000 asylum cases. He had signed an executive order to halt construction on the wall. And that message, whether or not it's consumed by people on the ground in third world nations, which we know it is, they have the internet, it's absolutely consumed by the dirtbags who smuggle them here and traffic them here and run the cartels.
They're the ones who are making a lot of money, and they are murdering the souls of these poor children.
Yes.
And, you know, Laura, I am not an immigration absolutist. I am not a hardline anti-immigration person. I am very pro-immigration. You know, my family came here on a boat to take part in the American dream because they were leaving a communist hellhole. So I have a great deal of sympathy for people who want to leave countries that have not done right by them and their families. But the way this is going and the backward way of doing immigration in terms of congressional abdication, it's wrong.
I agree that it's wrong. We don't have comprehensive immigration, and now we see a situation where we have humanitarian issues. We have migrants coming that are fleeing their countries because of things like poverty, things like violence. The pandemic obviously has exacerbated that. And I love that we're all having all kinds of like clown and circus metaphors and fire metaphors and talking about linguistic gymnastics. But I think that the heart of this matter, Kennedy, you're right. It really is about these kids crossing the border. And we have an asylum process here, and that asylum process needs to be adjudicated. We saw month over month increases in migrants under the Trump administration, and we see it now again in the Biden administration. It's not a rhetoric issue. If it was, we would have saw Trump's harsh rhetoric and inhumane policies deterring migrants.
But see,
and in
that's
fact, that
the
wasn't the case. It just simply didn't stop it.
It's so short-sighted to say that it's Republican or Democrat, because it's not, because every administration has failed on this spike, and one of the biggest drivers, like it or not, is the drug war.
Let's be very clear. Republican and Democrat strategy policy on this is almost identical. Republican policy is to put families and children in cages and pretend that they're protecting us. And Democrat policy is to put families and children in cages and rename them to overflow facilities. The reality is we're never going to solve this crisis. And it is a crisis until we deal with the two main issues that's bringing them here in the first place. Number one, as you alluded to, it's the war on drugs that created the cartels that are creating the political violence that is causing so many to flee here. And as long as we continue to have a war on migration instead of an Ellis Island type of policy where people can come here and take part in the American dream in a more streamlined process, we're creating a second cartel of people trying to bring people in, which is leading to the exploitation of families and children by both the migrants and the government when they get here. It's not going to end until we break the logjam of how we're treating migrants like imports and instead go back to that Ellis Island policy.
That's absolutely right. And what it goes back to is prohibition. So when you have prohibition of drugs and prohibition of people in terms of immigration, you create these black markets, and that's where you're getting the problems. All right. The brilliant panel returns a little bit later, coming up.
I thought that was pretty good. There's my Boo Bear. There's my Boo Bear. And it was a beautiful day in Seattle today, and we had a very nice walk. Didn't we have a nice walk, Boo Boo? Huh? And I think he's doing better. We ran for a couple minutes. Haven't done that for a little while. But we go up on the trails and we get some vertical and going up and down both ways, and pretty good vertical. So I make sure that we're working on that. He is, I'm trying to get my puppy back, and I think we're a step closer, which is nice. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Okay, how about you?
Oh, it's going good. Okay, so I just put you on pause. Anyways, I ended up hearing that last video that you ended up talking about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, why are people afraid of drugs again?
Because they ruin our children's future.
Oh, well, medicine ends up saving kids' lives. Vaccines work, don't they?
I don't know. I've never had a vaccine. In my adult life, I've never had a vaccine.
I thought vaccines were drugs.
I don't know what vaccines are. Look, big pharma drugs don't really count. I mean, Rush Limbaugh proved that. He was eating, 10 Oxycontins a day when he got busted, and it was no big deal. So.
Oh, oxycodone. Oh, I love that stuff. That's one of my favorites because it ends up curing pain.
Huh.
It's a good drug.
It also
But
it also
it's
puts
also a medicine.
it also puts little perforations in your brain, and I would recommend staying away from it if you can.
Where did you hear that science? I want to go ahead and know what scientist you ended up hearing that from, Michael.
I heard it on a news clip. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive if I read it or I heard it on a news clip, but it was something about how it puts little tiny perforations in your brain, and it's like little pin needle holes, and that's partially why it helps with pain so much.
Okay, are you sure you're not like superimposing, aka putting one story upon another, where you might be mixing an idea together, where they said that. Hold on.
I'm not doing that. You ask, am I doing that? I'm telling you that I'm not doing that. I'm not mixing two stories together. This is something that I've told other people who are on that medication in order to help possibly them prioritize getting off of it.
You never heard about kids? Because, I mean, like, I heard about teenagers when I was young, about holes in the brain.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, that was basically the drug that you were kind of halfway referencing. It was really big. It was really big when I was younger, and they said that if we ended up taking that medication that you referenced, we would go ahead and get holes in our brain. Well, some of that kind of medication. You understand that, like, there's a huge different way to go ahead and classify. I'll call it classified, but basically measure how a medication would react with a person.
I don't know.
Okay, well, hey, Michael. Wouldn't you say that there's a clear way to go ahead and measure how to find out what species or phylum or kingdom something is? Like, if you find a plant or an animal or a fungus or whatever, if you find anything, you should be able to go ahead and file it away and set a classification, a categorization, right? You should be able to do that.
I have a Murder Hornets video coming up, by the way. Just when you thought it was safe to go outside again, the Murder Hornets are back. What now, Stephen?
Oh, well, I have a very scary story about one of those. Okay, a murder hornet. But I have a question. What is? Yeah. Okay. So, Michael, I've had as a young boy, as a kid, my father chased a hornet, aka a bee. I don't know how big it. Okay, basically it was a 6-inch long bee. 4 to 6 inch long bee. That ran. That like flew into the actual window area of our place, and I had to run into the back room, and I had to go hide because of murder bee. I don't know. I thought it was a bee. I don't know if it's a hornet or a bee. It looked like a bee because the abdomen was huge. I mean, like if you try to like put your fingers. If you touch your thumb to your middle finger or your ring finger or any other finger, if you touch your fingers together, that's how wide that bee was.
Wow.
And yeah, I know. It was a huge bee. Like I could not believe it. It was like about almost an inch in diameter. That's how big the body was. So it freaked me out. And my dad ended up beating the hell out of it and tried to beat it outside. And I was the first person that actually looked at that bee and went, no, run away. And I pointed that out to my dad. He told me to run away from that bee. Don't touch it. Okay, well, run away. And at that point, I don't really know what ended up happening because he beat the living shit out of it and I ran away.
That seems like a really good plan, dude. Thanks for calling. It's good to hear from you. Whew. And again, kids, if you can stay away from Oxycontins, I think it's a very good plan. Okay, Murder Hornet story right now. Murder Hornets. Again, just when you thought it was safe to go outside. Where's my fucking Murder Hornet story? Murder Hornets coming in hot. Just when you thought it was safe to go back outside.
Now, the Department of Agriculture just wrapped up a news conference on the state's plan to battle the invasive Asian giant hornets. U.S. and Canadian scientists are teaming up to eradicate the species before they build more nests. Part of the plan calls on citizen scientists to help hang traps. The state was just awarded a grant to help them fight the hornets,
which will allow us to do hornet survey, tracking, and eradication, and we will continue with the efforts that we started last year.
The first Asian giant hornet's nest in the U.S. was found in Blaine last fall. To learn how to take part in the program to trap the hornets, we have an article online at KOMOnews.com.
All right, so there's my booger. So it's teethy brushing day. You love teethy brushing day, huh? It's teethy brushing day. We do it twice a week. Teethy brushing day. So I can't do this all night, people. So if you want to call, now's the time to do it. 805-669-6397. Hello, caller.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Brandon.
Hey, Brandon. How you doing?
Hey, you know what's funny? On that video you just showed with the Fox News people is that that I think two of them or one of them was wearing green. You know, and meaning St. Patty's Day, Ireland.
Yeah.
And, and this is the great thing about America is immigrants come over and we celebrate special things that are important to them. You know, Cinco de Mayo, St. Patty's Day, whatever. It goes on in this country, right?
Sure.
But there's such a misconception when people say, well, my family came over here to escape communism and whatever.
Oppression.
No,
Oppression. Generally, it's oppression. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not why your family came over. Your family came over because their people, typically, was trying to dominate planet Earth, you know, Europe mainly, and then a big war broke out, and that was the first war, and a floodgate of immigrants from Europe came over, and the Americans had to go over and save their ass. Right, and then World War II just destroyed all of Europe, so there was no place to live, so the floodgates came back over. If you really look at immigration, and you do it the right way, depending on what country that you're from, it can take damn near a decade just to get a visa, literally.
Sure, I've heard of that before, too.
Yeah, and but so, you know, we can't compare how, you know, and that's like saying back in the day, I got a letter from my grandma. Well, now it's grandma calling you on your cell phone and she emails. It's totally different, you know, and meaning we got to do something with that whole process. And I don't know how to fix it, you know, but if we, like they said, if we stop this stupid war on drugs. And I think the reason why there's a conspiracy or a collusion where they don't want these countries where this resource of these drugs naturally grow and come from. Mm-hmm. Because if you legalize the drug, then that country would be very wealthy. And therefore, you create another competitor, competition. And America and a lot of European countries, they do not want competition. You know, and that's the reason why we're in this pickle with China, because we can't control China. But yet we like our stuff cheap. It's good for the stock market, and people can make a lot of money. You know, but that's what I say about this immigration thing. But earlier, your whole thing is like, are you a racist? Mike, I think, you know.
Well, I didn't. That's really not the question. That was the thumbnail. The question is racism running rampant in the United States?
I would say it's always been running rampant, Mike, but we don't have the eyes on it like we have on it now. That's why people are now shocked when they get canceled. That's why people are shocked when a cop does something, and they want to give them. They still try to find an excuse to give them benefit of the doubt, right? Or him or her. You know, well, she worked like if you look at the Amber Geiger thing, she worked 12 hours. She was exhausted. She had every right to kill him. Now, this is what right now, this is what the cops said about the guy who murdered those 8 people in Georgia. He was like, well, he had a bad day. Well, no shit. Well, you don't get to have a bad day and say, I'm going to just ghost 8 people. You know, call him for what it is. He's a bad, mean, evil person.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know,
that motherfucker is possessed by a demon, dude. That's for sure.
Yeah, but yes, all his I'm crazy, put me in a nut house because the guy couldn't ask for a phone number and get laid at the end of the day. That's what that is. You know it, I know it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't figure out, excuse me, may I have your phone number? And if you look at him, he damn near got a Hitler haircut, but he looked like somebody off the Beverly fucking Hillbillies with his shaggy ass fucking beard.
Yeah, he looked kind of he looked like he coming out of the mountains. Yeah, but you know what? I think those places that he's going to, I'm pretty sure that they provide sexual favors. You know, I mean, all you have to do is say, hey, I want what's the saying, Craig? I want everything or whatever, and they tell you how much everything is, and then you get everything.
The owner of the New England Patriots.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right? Yeah.
But again, that's illegal, right? And maybe he just fell in love with one of them women. Look, when I was in Korea, I had a soldier from New York. He was a Spanish kid. His name was Pizarro.
How long you in Korea?
He fell in love. Just a year. I was there 2001, 2002, because it's only a year-long tour.
It gets motherfucking cold there, huh?
Yes, and you experienced monsoon season, which we don't have here in America.
No.
And that was kind of unique.
Yeah.
You know, where it rained for 45 fucking straight days down here, and it's a lot of fucking rain.
We kind of get that here in Seattle a little bit.
Oh, okay, but over there, it's a peninsula. You know, so the water comes right back up, and you'll see cars floating down the street. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this guy was addicted to the prostitute in Korea because prostitution is legal in Korea.
Yeah.
And I asked him one time, I'm like, Pizarro, you spent all your money. It got so bad the chain of command had to get involved, contact his mom and dad. And his grown ass man is like 19, 20 years old. And we literally made him switch his direct deposit to his parents. And they would give him an allowance with his own damn paycheck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I asked him, I'm like, Pizarro, like, what's up with you and these Korean girls? He said, well, sorry, Madeline, they look futuristic. I'm like, what the fuck you mean they look futuristic? He said, well, they got small bodies and big heads and big eyes and kind of look like aliens. I was like, Lord, this dude, Mom. And, and it was so bad, it was like, we was having conversations like, because he signed up to stay an extra year. So, his year got approved before I got there, so he had like another year or some change to go, and I was only going to do 1 year there. And I'm like, if this guy gets sent back to the States, they going to kick him out the Army. I'm like, but how fucked up is he going to be back on the street? He's probably gonna rape and strangle a bit. I mean, he would pay women when he had $10 or a few dollars just to, masturbate on their feet. Cause he okay, literally. Okay.
I've seen those videos, but I just don't get it, man. I've seen those. I don't get it, but I've seen those videos.
He's the only guy I know in Korea through my career that went AWOL in Korea.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Where he just bounced.
Yeah, wow.
He went from like, I guess his parents sent him some money, they wants to use some money, and he went on an Asian girl shopping spree, and then he shows up like 3 weeks later. Well, and we're like, what that? Like, bizarro. Yeah. But when it comes to like, I just say when it comes to that racism thing, it's everywhere, and so many people don't want to believe it. It's kind of like the mass shooter, which is a white man, right? Typically, that's what the FBI says with mass shooters and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's typically white males, but yet people don't want to accept the fact that they fit that profile. And they get offended, know. But yet, when a black person is like, why are you always pulling me over? Like when you was walking down the street because of your beard or you got the hippie look, and you got 3 bags of groceries, the cop walks up to you.
Yeah.
Again, it's just these seeds have constantly been planted in our heads. But yet, some people don't want to believe that, you know what? I do fit the description, which is fucked up, of someone who may do something crazy.
Go ahead.
And unfortunately, that's wrong.
Well, it's beyond wrong. I mean, you see stop and frisk in New York City, and it's 80% black people that are getting stopped and frisked.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's wrong, Mike.
The reason is 80% black people is so that the black people understand who's in charge. That's the reason.
It's more or less like who's the boss.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you have this fear of the majority of America that they're losing their grip, and their grip is just that America's changing, and that's it. Meaning demographically.
Yeah.
So.
I can see. It's not that I understand, but I can see some people being threatened by that. It's easy to see with the rich people; they're very threatened by change in any kind of change in demographic. That makes them uncomfortable. So. But you know what, Brandon? In some of the older kung fu movies, I see this a lot too, where they'll talk about how dark somebody's complexion is. They come from Mongolia or wherever, and they're, it's really, it's a weird thing.
Well, it's a lot of those type of movies to where it's Japanese versus Chinese.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I watch a Chinese movie and I see a Japanese come into it, I'm like, fucking Japs.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just programming where it's just the first thing that I think, fucking Japs.
Because it's always Kung Fu versus karate in a lot of those movies.
Yeah.
Because of they had a war long, fucking 100 years ago or whatever, however long ago it was.
Yeah.
But if and Japan damn near took over China pretty much.
It was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking samurai, but it's at the end of the day, I think that everybody has to have a talk with themselves, because we see this in the black community to where, it's where Black Lives Matter, but yet you have a shooting where 18 people get shot and 4 are dead, right? We all got to address our own issues in our own community. But let's be honest, whenever you are hit a certain threshold, very rarely is there an anomaly that happens in the typical neighborhood or the typical community because of the class that you're in. And there's a war against people getting more and more successful. You see now with the bitching about the child tax credit. Where families get a little extra money, but yet you want people to stop having an abortion, but what's the incentive of starting a family? There is none in this country. None whatsoever.
Well,
it's what, 20,000 to have a baby?
I don't know. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just that. I mean, back in 1980, right? It was like from the time the baby is born until it becomes a doctor, it cost like $1 million. You know, and I was just like, fuck, I'm out. Fuck that, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, it kind of, and then if you really look at it, that's why those other countries give an incentive that start families. You know, like Germany, because Germany killed themselves in World War I and World War II, so their population is decreasing. You know, whenever you have major wars like that, you go through major wars and you lose, I don't know, like Russia lost 50 million people or something, or 20 million people, and all these millions of people died. It's just like going to prison. You can't reproduce. And that's really what it's all about. And America's not reproducing the way it should.
Well, did you see the beginning of this show, Brennan? I was talking about lifting up the least amongst us to have a better quality.
Yes.
See, imagine, I mean, I don't know who this person was that shot all these people, but I think that a lot of that kind of thing also could be prevented just by lifting these people up and letting them know that they're not all alone in the world. Not that I don't know who this guy was. He wasn't some, upper middle class, whatever. Right. I don't know. Yeah. But I think that there's stuff that goes on like that could easily be prevented. Like I keep saying, it's cheaper to lift these people up than to have to deal with them over and over and over again. And plus, you make your community a better place, the community that you live in.
Well, again, it's about control, and the stock market. Listen, if everybody's successful, then where's everybody going to work at? Right?
I think that they'll work at the things that they imagine. This is what I keep saying. This is what it means to be top of the food chain on this planet. Upright, top of the food chain, fucking thumbs, right? What it means is that we can make happen anything we can imagine as long as we have the right support to make it happen. So, and that's the world that we're missing out on, because as the tippy top of the food chain, who knows who could imagine, and again, the lowest amongst us could imagine things that, might change the entire direction of mankind. But because nobody's helping them with the hand up, we completely miss out on that.
And you know what? And there's always some glory in helping somebody dust off their knees when they fall down,
Yeah, for sure, man.
You feel good about yourself.
Oh, dude.
And I'm not talking about giving a guy $5 that's begging for money. I'm talking about whenever someone in need. Like, there's been situations to where we've known people at their house, they lost everything in their house. They got burnt down or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we got this extra furniture. Call them up, tell them come get it.
Yeah.
Boom. Less stress. You feel better about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And they feel humble and appreciative whenever you're like, I don't need nothing. Or either like you go like, my wife went through all my kids' clothes and her clothes.
Yeah.
I didn't go through mine yet. But tomorrow the Boy Scouts are coming through and they're picking up clothes.
Right on.
And shoes.
Cool.
Okay, boom. It's like and we do it like once a year.
Nice.
Because, the kids keep growing. And it's and
it's not, and also, Brandon, it's not just that you feel good about yourself helping someone. That person feels not so all alone in the world. Like actually people care about them, and that can make a huge difference. It's like I'm saying, who knows, you might stop a mass shooting by making something like that happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, and also I'm looking at these little boys that's gonna ride around, you know, with their dads or their scout leaders or whatever, and load this stuff in back of pickup trucks or vans. It teaches them something too, you know, some reality that there is people out there who's probably going to be unfortunate, you know, a little less fortunate than what you are, or either you may be in a situation. And I don't know how in the hell we unfuck this situation, but we got problems, you know, and I don't think we want to address them correctly.
It's not that we don't want to address it. It's that we're being misprogrammed and misled, and it's all done purposely. So I can't blame the people and say that they don't want to address it. It's, you know, I'm sure that if the people were properly informed and we had actual leadership that we could believe in, you know, going boldly into the 21st century, I think the people would get behind that kind of leadership. But we don't have anything like that.
You know, I had one of my buddies text me today, and me and him was not going back and forth in a text, but he was bitching about these pregnant women in the military. Oh no, it was, but this, I can send you I'll find a way to send you the texts, right? You know, the screenshot. but all in all, this guy's bitching about, and he's a former Marine. He got a comment to him. He was in the reserves and all. And he's bitching, right, about these women and everything, and making our country look weak.
Oh, man.
I know this man. And his girlfriend gave him coronavirus, and she's like in her late 30s or mid-30s, and she's a bartender in a strip club. And you know what? She moved out of the house because she wouldn't quit her job being a bartender at a strip club because he wanted her to. And I'm like, dude, you can't even control your own goddamn woman, man. Why are you bitching about pregnant women in the military?
Because it makes us look weak, Brandon. Aren't you paying attention?
You know what I did? I sent him a video of the North Korean army marching in a parade,
Man.
and it wasn't nothing but some bad bitches whole newsies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Take care of business.
Have you ever seen that video? The North Koreans marching, yeah.
They're serious about that marching shit.
That shit, dude, that shit. I've been to so many of them damn parades, like when we do them, and motherfuckers pass out, fall down, knees locked up. We'll have bayonets fixed, and the dude will pass out and slice the guy's head up in front of him.
Jeez.
With a damn bayonet.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, Mom, that's all I want to say, brother, man. You take care. You know, you got a good show.
Right on, Brandon. It's always good to hear from you.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. Stay cool, bro. And that's our buddy, too, Bronze Star Brandon. And he was talking about, let's see, what was he talking about? Oh, the mass shooting. So I will play a quick video for you about the mass shooting so that we are, because some people don't know about it, and I want to make sure that we're not skipping over something that might be important. And we are, after all, talking about this subject today, more or less. So I wanted to, I think this is part of why the discussion is going on, or this is, it seems, I don't know, very odd. But I want to play that video for you. I'll be right back.
And we have two major stories developing as we come on the air tonight, what authorities are calling a potentially dangerous tornado event across multiple states. Reports of tornadoes on the ground already. Ginger tracking the line of storms set to hit after dark, and she's standing by for us. But we begin tonight with that deadly shooting rampage in Georgia. 3 different spas of the Atlanta area. 8 people killed, 6 of them Asian women. Tonight, the gunman in custody, he's now been charged with 8 counts of murder. The first shooting in a suburb of Atlanta around 5 p.m. last night, 4 people found dead. And then within an hour, police were called to 2 other spas in northeast Atlanta across the street from one another, where they found additional victims. Police quickly releasing these surveillance images of the suspect outside one of the locations. And tonight we've now learned that it was the parents of 21-year-old Robert Long who identified their own son. Police stopping him in what they call a pit maneuver on a highway 150 miles away. They believe he might have planned more attacks in Florida. The murders only raising fear among Asian Americans in this country, given what we have seen in the past year. Tonight, President Biden and Vice President Harris both weighing in on these horrific shootings. ABC's Steve Osunsami leading us off tonight from Atlanta.
Georgia investigators say that the 21-year-old who they just charged with murder is talking tonight. 6 of the 8 people he's now accused of killing are Asian women. And if they hadn't stopped him, police believe that Robert Aaron Long, seen here, would have continued on to Florida and gunned down more workers at similar businesses.
Some guy came in and shoot the gun, so everybody heard the gunshot.
Around 5 p.m. Tuesday, Long was seen in this surveillance video outside Young's Asian massage parlor in the North Atlanta suburbs. Police say he walked in, started shooting, and killed 4 people, 3 of them Asian. The niece of a victim who lived says her uncle wasn't even inside the business when he was shot.
He was coming out of the store beside the massage parlor and the other store beside it, and he was outside.
In the time it took to drive from the suburbs into the city, the call came into Atlanta police about another shooting at a similar business, a 24-hour spa.
We do not have a witness that actually is alive right now that can tell us who shot him.
While police were trying to help people who were dying at that location, witnesses were calling them about another shooting at another 24-hour spa directly across the street.
We need to make sure if we have any Asian spas, we need to be checking on them.
Police caught up with Long's black SUV south of the city, ran it off the road, and arrested the 21-year-old. His parents were the ones who called authorities and pointed the way. Police say they found him by tracking his cell phone. But investigators tonight now believe that the reasons behind these killings weren't as much about race and were more about violence against women. They say Long told them he was struggling with a sex addiction and was returning to punish the businesses he used to pay.
He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
Atlanta's mayor underlines that the tragedy of the deaths isn't suddenly any less.
We are not about to get into victim blaming, victim shaming here.
These killings come at a time when violence against Asian Americans is growing, thanks to the racist tropes surrounding the coronavirus. President Biden is being briefed by the FBI tonight.
Whatever the motivation here, I know that Asian Americans are very concerned.
The vice president, whose mother was Asian, spoke to the issue.
I do want to say to our Asian American community that we stand with you and understand how this has frightened and shocked and outraged all people.
And so let's bring in Steve Osunsami from Atlanta tonight. And Steve, I know police are still investigating the motive, and really regardless of motive here, this is only raising the fear even more among Asian Americans across the country after what we've been reporting here for months. And I know tonight patrols have been stepped up, not only there in Atlanta, but elsewhere across the country.
That's right, David. This is terrifying for these communities. In New York and San Francisco, they're stepping up patrols in Asian neighborhoods and around Asian businesses. Here in Georgia, the largest Asian population lives in Gwinnett County, which is just directly north of here. And the police there tonight are telling us that they are putting more of their officers on the road until further notice. David.
All right, Steve Osunsami leading us off tonight from Atlanta. Steve, thank you.
All right, so I see a lot of racism going on. I see people saying that you can't be racist towards white people or something, and I'm not trying to act like a victim or anything like that. I see, them on different networks, news networks, and different places. Like, I'm seeing flashes of people wearing Ku Klux Klan outfits. Like, that somehow, like, today, like the modern day threat, the reality here in 2021 is that there's people walking around everywhere in Ku Klux Klan outfits. And I don't think that's fair. So, and again, I'm not trying to play the victim. I see what I'm trying to do is call people out who are trying to misprogram our communities, and I despise that. So, let's see. Again, this is a call-in show. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. And we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you're new and you want to call in, the number's right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. 805-669-6397. Otherwise, I can keep playing videos. I have more videos. I came prepared, people. Let's see, what kind of videos do I have? Oh, I have another Kennedy video. I have a video about the tornadoes that are hitting New Orleans, Alabama, right in there. It looks so hairy. I mean, these tornadoes look gigantic, man. And this is one of these things I talked about is when we're going to address this over-polluting thing as human beings. You know, I don't give a fuck about climate change. Here's what I know. You know, what's causing the problem? Okay, if we're having weather problems and what's causing that problem, I know what's causing it is pollution. Okay, and so what I see when I was a kid, they'd have tornadoes that were like 100, 200 yards in diameter. And I mean, imagine the path that a 200-yard in diameter tornado can cut. You know, that's just like cutting through neighborhoods, tons of neighborhoods all at once, right? Now I see, like 7 years ago, I saw a mile-wide tornado. And I just keep thinking, what are we going to wait until the tornadoes get 5 miles wide? And then that'll be, because once the tornadoes get a certain size, I don't think they go away. What's up, caller?
What's up? Haven't called in a long time. This is super fucking bullshit, Tron. And I feel like that I had to call in as a superhero right now, currently, because we have a real topic of discussion here right now. Super bullshit. Tron is here live with you in the studio, in the house, and I'm feeling great. You know, took a lot of time off as a superhero. I had to do some superhero shit. As a superhero, you got to do superhero shit, and so I'm back.
Yeah.
So how are you doing? We're talking about racism here in the world.
Uh-huh.
We are talking about racism here in the world right now.
It seems to be the hot topic in the world right now, yes.
It's a hot topic for a lot of years for some reason. I feel like that currently they are
really for the last year or so, coronavirus has been the hot topic. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, honestly, I feel like that it's been the hot topic since the early, 1900s and shit. I guess apparently.
Okay.
Before we were ever born, it's this thing that's happened before any of us were ever even on this planet. And you know what, Michael, you need to just come to terms with the fact that you're fucking racist, dude,
Why is that? Why is that?
And since I'm a superhero, I'm fortunately blessed with green skin, no joke. That's why I'm having such a great fucking day. And like one of the only fucking superheroes with green skin. Hulk and other dudes, blessed with the green skin.
I look at the screen, okay? Can you see my fingers? Can you see my fingers? I have green skin too, okay? I just hide it. I just camouflage myself very well, but I have green skin also, so you know.
No fucking way.
Telling you.
You disguise yourself to be a white person. You are definition racist, dude. See, you know, racism is running rampant in America.
It is?
Yeah, you can't even see it, but everybody's doing it. Everyone
It's the end thing. Is that what you're saying? It's the end thing to do now?
No, it's like if you don't have like some kind of a colored skin, then you're not oppressed. And, you know, that's what you need to be in the oppressed crowd.
Do you feel oppressed as a superhero?
No, because I'm green. I'm like one of the only fucking green dudes.
I thought you said you have to have color in your screen to be in your skin to be oppressed.
Well, no, like you're not understanding. Like there's like a fraction of a percent of people in the world with like different skin colors and stuff. But like when you have green skin, like you never see that shit.
I just showed you. Are you not looking at the screen? Look at my hands. I have green skin. Okay, why can't you see that?
I can just look at my hand. I know what it looks like. Okay. This is now became a conspiracy. Are you green or are you like a fucking, Caucasian? Nobody knows.
I don't really identify that way.
Well, do you identify as green Caucasian? Maybe. Have you ever been honest about your issues of skin color and racism in your fucking life?
Probably not.
Obviously you haven't. I mean, and this is why Super Bullshitron is here to save the motherfucking day. And I'm going to help everyone solve their racist issues. Okay? So, are you doing a fucking bong load right now, currently? Are you smoking the weed? The fucking devil's lettuce? Oh, fucking Lord. Holy shit. You know that stuff's bad for you, they say. But you know what? I don't care. Do whatever you want. You want to smoke the fucking green...
They say bacon is bad for you too. But bacon tastes good.
How much bacon do you fucking eat?
Every chance I get.
Oh, bullshit. You add bacon every time they ask you, hey, sir, would you like to add some fucking bacon to it?
Yes. I order a French dip sandwich, and they don't have to ask me. I say, can you put bacon on that? And they say, no problem.
Okay, see, in France, they don't put bacon on that shit. And see, what is wrong with you?
Love bacon.
You love bacon.
Exactly.
What are you baking, some cakes or something? Because I swear to God, like, baking is the whole nother thing. I need you to understand that are you cooking the fucking bacon, pork, meat stuff on the stove or in the oven?
Lately,
it should be called frying, in my opinion.
Lately, it's been cooked. Lately, it's been cooked on the barbecue. So you know.
You're grilling fucking bacon.
Yes, of
or
course.
frying.
Of course.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't know who the fuck does that, like, but homeless people, like, you know, I've done it, you know, back in the day. You know, I'd get a couple of rocks, make it into a circle.
Oh man, I was watching a Jet Li movie the other day, and he took like a roof tile, you know, like the roof tiles, like a ceramic roof tile, and it was all curved, and he built a fire under it, and he put it on a couple of bricks, and he used it to like a wok to cook all these like homeless kids snakes. They caught a bunch of snakes, and he cooked them up for him.
Wow. That sounds delicious. I'll look into that. I might.
It looked like they were enjoying the fuck out of it, that's for sure.
When I was a little superhero kid, I had caught a superhero snake.
I bet you did.
I did. It was a huge fucking snake. It was a huge fucking snake. I'm not even joking.
I'm sure it was.
And then I placed the mammoth beast into the snake container. And then I left the house the next day, all day, on an epic adventure. And then I came home, and I swear to fucking God, there was about 40 fucking baby super snakes in the fucking tank, just going fucking nuts. I couldn't fucking believe it. And I set those fucking super snakes free, Michael, out there into the wilderness when I was an evil doer.
Well, that seems like a really good plan. It's nice to hear from you, Super Bullshit Tron. Good luck with that. Super snake. I got a super snake, in case any of you ladies are interested. And again, this is a good reason to stay away from the Oxycontins, boys and girls. Did I mention this is a call-in show? We have the number right there on the screen. If anybody'd like to call, please feel free to do so. The number is 805-669-6397. 805 News. Okay, and I have a video here about Senator Menendez, who apparently called, I believe, Senator Ron Johnson a racist today on the floor of the Senate. Which is kind of basically against decorum. They don't do things like that. But it is very fashionable to do now. So Senator Menendez, who, if you look it up, is accused of having sex with underage prostitutes in the Dominican Republic and was being investigated by the FBI for those allegations, I believe. I'm not quite sure about the FBI, but I'm pretty sure. This is who we got calling this guy a racist, right? So I don't know. What is it racist to have sex with underage prostitutes that are black? Is that racist, Senator Menendez? Something tells me that's kind of racist also. Not having sex with black girls, but paying underage black girls to have sex with a gross old dude like you. Because if they just want to do it, that's cool. But if you pay them to do it, that's pretty fucked up. Probably racist. Because you're taking advantage of people in a way that you wouldn't normally take advantage of someone else. That's what makes it racist, so we're clear. But I have that video coming up. And then I have a video about hospital ship and, the tornado video. I was telling you about the tornadoes. I'm going to play, and I have another Kennedy video. I'm going to play the video about the tornadoes, because this looks like some pretty scary shit to me. I know I wouldn't want to be anywhere near it.
to the other major story unfolding as we're on the air tonight, what authorities are calling an extremely dangerous tornado threat across at least 7 states tonight. 60 million Americans in the threat zone. And tonight, reports of several tornadoes already. Look at some of the pictures. This giant twister, that's near Clanton, Alabama. Farm buildings ripped apart in Wayne County, Mississippi. And take a look at the radar tonight. The current tornado watches, of course, the orange and the red there on that map, particularly dangerous. New Orleans, Jackson, Birmingham, and so many smaller towns and cities in the path of this. And of course, another real concern that this line of storms will be hitting after dark. Ginger with the track and ABC's Victor Akendo in Birmingham, Alabama.
A dangerous, potentially deadly night ahead across a huge swath of the South. The Storm Prediction Center warning of a rare high-risk threat level for long-track, intense tornadoes.
Literally like a tornado.
Wayne County, Mississippi, and Chilton County, Alabama, among places where twisters were reported already.
Oh, major tornado! Major, major!
In Tuscaloosa, these University of Alabama students sheltering in a parking garage.
There's a tornado down. It's very dangerous. This is about 6 miles south of downtown Tuscaloosa.
It's just after 1 o'clock here in Birmingham. We are under a tornado watch, and officials want to make sure that people have a plan in place and they know where shelters like this one are located. This can hold 80 people, and as you can see, they're starting to file in. Deborah Johnson and Christopher Jenkins are not taking any chances. What was it about this storm coming this way that made you say, we're riding this out in here?
When the news people said it was going to be like a few years ago, and it was terrible. So that was enough for me, and safe.
Roads around Birmingham inundated, the storms coming in waves. The first one knocking out power to buildings in Dallas-Fort Worth. Lightning strikes knocking our Jackson, Mississippi affiliate off the air for a time Tuesday. With another strong line of storms headed this way, the tornado threat continues through the night, which can definitely be the most dangerous time for a tornado to strike. David?
All right, Victor Akendo in Birmingham. Victor, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. She's in Jackson, Mississippi tonight. And Ginger, dangerous now, dangerous into tomorrow, but we're always concerned when these storms hit after dark.
Especially with tornadoes, we may see less as far as numbers go of nocturnal tornadoes than we do during the day. However, they can be 2.5 times as deadly or injure people because people are asleep. You can hear it right here behind me. We've had thunder and lightning. We're in a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the main line. And here's my concern tonight as we look at that particularly dangerous situation with those watches that extend all the way through Alabama, western Tennessee, down to New Orleans. It's that people think, oh, we already saw the storms pass. Well, there's 2 rounds. This is the last round here. We're going to see this for the next couple of hours, not only with the damaging winds, but the tornado threat overnight. And then you wake up in Atlanta with the threat for those severe storms down to the Florida Panhandle. It lifts to the east, and David, Raleigh down to Savannah have to be on the lookout as we go into Thursday.
Thinking about all those families and that darkened sky behind you, Ginger says it all. Please stay safe with the crew tonight. We move on to the other news.
I can tell you that is a neighborhood I would not want to be in tonight, or really any night. But I would say, but especially tonight, but it's just not true. I wouldn't want to be there any night because I know what a good life it is in the Seattle neighborhood. And again, you know, we have the best weather in the world. People say, oh, it rains and rains and rains there. But the thing is that no one ever dies from the weather in the Seattle area. It just doesn't happen. Everywhere else, people freeze, they get dehydrated and die. You know, sunstroke, tornadoes, tidal waves. It doesn't happen in Seattle. So I'm always everybody says like, when I've told you guys this, when I meet people out on the street in my neighborhood and I'm walking the dogs, I always say, another perfect Seattle afternoon, another perfect Northwest afternoon. And it doesn't matter if it's raining or whatever, because it's always just kind of this mild thing. And if you can't recognize that, well, you know, when you're standing in it, then I don't know what to tell you. All right. You're soaking in it. Life. You're soaking in it. This is not a trial run, people. It's time to get it together and start making amazing things happen in the world, because that's what the top of the food chain does. It owns it. It's our world to do what we want with, instead of this elite politician class, a super elite billionaire class. Fuck those people. It's our world, not theirs. And they want to act like somehow they can take anything they want, regardless if it is actually the future of our children. Not our children, your children. I don't have children. But they don't care if they pull every drop of oil out of the fucking planet. They don't care. Especially if, as we're being told, that's the only good resource. Right? That's the only resource that's worthy. And then they pull every drop of it out of the world. So there's none left for the future. They don't give a shit about your children. They don't give a shit about the future. All they care about is making a penny right now. And that's why we don't have a 21st century infrastructure project. Is because it's not about you making a penny, which a 21st century infrastructure project would do. It would bring so many millions and millions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into communities everywhere, creating millions of good paying new jobs. And those jobs, good paying jobs, creating so many more other jobs in the community. And why aren't we getting it? Because clearly the rich people don't want it. They don't want you to have anything nice. Otherwise, if the rich people wanted a 21st century infrastructure project, taking America boldly into the 21st, if not the 22nd century, if they wanted that, it would be happening. They don't want that. They want endless wars. They want an ever-expanding police state, which they know will never touch them. And why? To hold you down. To hold the species down. This is the people that we have. This is the leadership that we have. This is the people at the very top. And we can take it back, but the only way is if we recognize the common enemy. We don't have to move beyond all our divisions and see eye to eye on abortion. We just have to recognize the common enemy. You hate abortion? Okay, it's the Republicans and the Democrats that have brought us to this moment in history. Okay, you're pro-life and against anti-abortion or whatever. You're pro-choice. That's what I'm saying. You're pro-choice. It's these people in history who keep us, these Democrats and Republicans, who keep us on the borderline where somehow you might lose one way or the other, as if it's almost like a toss-up, and we'll see who gets the tip on the ball. This is not the way it's meant to be, but this is because they have us divided. Okay, and if you go, you know what, that person has the right to think that way, and I have the right to think this way, and that's really important, that you have the right, because you wouldn't want your neighbor taking away your right, which is why you wouldn't want to take away your neighbor's right, because if you take away your neighbor's rights, you're next in line. But if we can just move beyond the basic divisions, which are complete and utter bullshit, we could have all the power. All the power meaning we could actually put these people in prison for the rest of their lives in order to make the world genuinely safer for little children. Because war profiteers are without a doubt the biggest threat to children on the planet. I'm pretty sure there's no doubt in my mind. I don't know. There's a lot of chemical things like petroleum companies are poisoning a lot of water. Pharmaceuticals. Basically, everybody's tap water now has pharmaceuticals in it, because people piss them out and then they get back into the they get recycled basically, and people flush them down the toilet and all these other things. What I'm saying, again, is that we deserve better. Not only do we deserve better, we could do so much better. But we have these horrible leaders who don't want to do any better because it works just fine for them the way things are right now. So why would they want to change anything? Things are working out just fine for Nancy Pelosi and her fucking technologically advanced state-of-the-art freezer that's filled with $15 a pint ice cream. She's doing pretty good, you know. I wouldn't mind having a pint of ice cream in my freezer. It wouldn't even have to cost $15, you know. But I don't. I can't really have them because I eat them up. Because I gobble them up. I go, me like ice cream. Especially after a couple of dabs. So, let's play more videos. Unless, of course, someone wants to call. This is a call-in show, people. The number's right there on the screen. How many times do we have to go over this? 805-669-6397. 805 Mox News. I'm going to play the clip with Senator Menendez talking about racism and calling out, I believe it's Senator Ron Johnson, for being a racist. I believe he called him a racist on the floor of the Senate today, which is, again, not something that's done. It's outside decorum or whatever they call it. But I'm going to play that clip, and I want you, again, to keep in mind that if you type into the Google Senator Menendez and underage, what will come up is accusations that Senator Menendez was hiring underage prostitutes. Anderson Cooper is a prostitute, but he was hiring underage prostitutes in the Dominican Republic and having sex with them. So if you are wondering about who this guy is talking, I would again Google Senator Menendez and underage, and it will come right up at the top who it is that this guy is that's talking, in case anybody's wondering.
The alleged Atlanta area mass killer is in custody tonight, facing up to 8 counts of murder and shootings at 3 massage spas in and around the city. Of the 8 killed, 6 victims were of Asian descent. And while police point towards some kind of sexual obsession as a motive and not racial hatred as such, it's hard to ignore who was targeted or overlook the fact that this did not happen in a vacuum. It happened, as 3 new reports explain, each from its own angle, at a dangerous moment for this country in a climate more conducive than it's been in generations for homegrown acts of violent hatred. Yet, as we'll talk about tonight, not everyone wants to confront the problem or even admit it. Some people want to look away, to not see the mass killings in El Paso and Pittsburgh, the rise in anti-Asian violence, and the white supremacist, conspiracy-driven mindset culminating in the Capitol insurrection as all being cut from the same ugly cloth. Today, in his first congressional testimony since being confirmed, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas made the connections and the threat clear.
Right now, at this point in time, domestic violent extremism, the lone wolf, the loose affiliation of individuals following ideologies of hate and other ideologies of extremism that are willing and able to take those ideologies and execute on them in unlawful, illegal, violent ways is our greatest threat in the homeland right now.
Well, in that and other recent statements and priorities, the new administration has embraced a notion that the old administration tried to downplay, even though it's important to mention some of its own appointed law enforcement professionals were also sounding the alarm. Here's FBI director appointed by the former president testifying last September.
Racially motivated violent extremists over recent years have been responsible for the most lethal activity in the U.S. Now this year, the lethal attacks, domestic terrorism lethal attacks we have, I think, all fit in the category of anti-government, anti-authority, which covers everything from anarchist violent extremists to militia types.
As Director Chris Wray last September warning as well in his written remarks that day that the top threat facing the country was racially, ethnically, or politically motivated domestic extremists. He repeated that warning in testimony earlier this month, and today a joint report put out by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence underscored it all. Quoting from that report, the IC, meaning the intelligence community, assesses that racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, RMVEs, and militia violent extremists, MVEs, present the most lethal domestic violent extremist threats, with racially motivated violent extremists most likely to conduct mass casualty attacks against civilians, and militia violent extremists typically targeting law enforcement and government personnel and facilities. Also out today, a new report from the Anti-Defamation League, which says that white supremacist propaganda incidents nearly doubled last year, with more than 5,000 cases reported, averaging 14 a day across the country. Also today, a new report on growing anti-Asian violence. According to the tracking group Stop API Hate, such attacks have risen dramatically since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, which the former president, even as recently as last night, still refers to as the China virus.
When we got hit by the, as I call it, the China virus.
We'll speak shortly tonight with professional basketball's Jeremy Lin, one of the few Asian Americans to have played in the NBA. He says that he himself was called coronavirus by a fellow player. But again, as today's report from the Director of National Intelligence makes clear, such incidents are not isolated. They're part of a climate that nurtures violent extremism. And that includes the Capitol insurrection, which was shot through with nearly every species of white supremacist, anti-government, conspiracy-believing, homegrown violent cranks. But for the past few months, you've seen lawmakers, the so-called leaders of this country, try and whitewash what we all saw that day. And it actually continued today, led by Congressman Louis Gohmert. He and some of his Republican allies tried today to remove references to the insurrection in a resolution to give congressional gold medals to police officers on duty on January 6. And then there is Senator Ron Johnson. Now, not only has he been trying to divert all attention from the right-wing, conspiracy-minded, racist elements of the insurrection and the ongoing threat they present, he's also been dabbling with racism himself and how he's making his case.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. So I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this got me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
A little concerned, he says, about a hypothetical attack by a largely nonviolent movement, which never occurred, but not concerned at all about the very real, very violent attack by domestic extremists on his own place of work. Not bothered, it seems, by perhaps the biggest eruption yet of everything the intelligence and law enforcement community warned of last fall and continues to warn up today. And he continues to claim that those people love America and love law enforcement, despite the death of one officer and the suicide following the attack by two, and the injury of dozens of other officers. That, and of course, Senator Johnson also threw in a dash of racism, which he denies, but which one of his colleagues is calling out directly.
Look, I get no one likes to be called racist. But sometimes there's just no other way to describe the use of bigoted tropes that for generations have threatened black lives by stoking white fear of African Americans and black men in particular.
That was Senator Bob Menendez. I spoke to him just before airtime. Senator, as you know, the Senate is a very traditional place. Breaking decorum like you did, calling a colleague a racist on the Senate floor, is a very dramatic step. Can you talk about why you did it?
Well, I understand the decorum of the Senate, but sometimes, as the late John Lewis says, you have to get into good trouble. I just felt compelled to speak out about Senator Johnson's comments, and it was crystal clear to me, driven home by an African-American member of my staff who served New Jersey through different senators for 3.5 decades, an incredible human being, a tremendous staffer who is African-American, and told me about how hateful and harmful his comments were. And so when he made these comments, in essence, the racist trope that he would be more fearful of a Black Lives Matter protest than the insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol, caused the death of 3 U.S. Capitol officers, and harmed and injured so many more. I just felt that, decorum couldn't just stand in the way of speaking out.
Do you think Should more be done? I mean, or I don't know if that's even possible, but I mean, Senator Johnson continues to stand by, even double down on his comments. He wrote an op-ed defending himself and late today tweeted out a compilation of what he appears to be saying are acts of violence at Black Lives Matter protests, adding, quote, along with peaceful protests last summer, there were too many scenes like this. I'll always condemn violence and rioting regardless of who's doing it. He doesn't really sound like he's condemning so much what happened at the Capitol, or at least he's trying to, whitewash it or minimize it repeatedly.
Well, I mean, he has a parallel alternate view of the world. He says that he wasn't afraid of the white supremacists and insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol because he knew that they were law-abiding citizens who love their country. Well, law-abiding citizens don't attack other police officers, don't cause the death of one and two others who committed suicide as a result of what happened. Hundreds who were injured, many who are scarred in their lives for a long period of time. Law-abiding citizens don't come and destroy federal property and desecrate one of the most significant symbols of our democracy. Law-abiding citizens don't try to undermine the rule of law by stopping the official count of a presidential election. So again, it's an excuse from what is clearly a racist comment, and that perpetuates that white America should fear our fellow black citizens.
There's a report out today from the Anti-Defamation League that found white supremacist propaganda hit an all-time high in 2020. The report says, quote, white supremacists appear to be more emboldened than ever. I know you're not calling Senator Johnson a white supremacist, but the kind of language he's using, it certainly is, if not a dog whistle to them, it's certainly a hat tip.
So again, these people, the protesters on January 6th, is the new label, that they're all racist. And misogynist and everything we can get to stick, because they wanted to take back the people's house, and they talk about desecrating the people's house, right? And I've talked about this again and again and again and again and again. Desecrating the people's house would be spray painting everything like the black bloc guys do. They spray paint everything. The anarchist is, fuck the police. I didn't see a single bit of anything spray painted. The Black Lives Matter protesters topple statues, right? I think that's the Black Lives Matter protesters that topple the statues. I didn't see that go on at all. And this guy, again, is talking about the desecration of the people's house. And in my opinion, people like him and people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they desecrate the people's house every day by breaking their vow to protect the Constitution and all the rights that go along with it. And limiting our freedom more and more every day. They desecrate the people's house by doing evil against the people, not only around the world, but here in the United States. And they do it every day, and they do it on purpose. Joe Biden and his crime bill in the 1980s. How many people did he throw their lives into misery because he wanted to be strong on the war on drugs? Okay? This is the bullshit that we have to deal with. This is the bullshit government that we have. And if you think Joe Biden has changed in any way from the 1980s, the only way he's changed is that he tries to suppress things that he would have said in the 1980s. It's not that he's a different person. He just tries to keep those inside instead of letting them outside like he used to. And something tells me he's going to get less and less good at that very quickly. So since we have no callers, and I don't want to go on and on and on and on and on, do I? No. I will play another video for you about Asian racism. because again, this is the topic, and you know, I came here to play videos, take fat dabs, and talk with phone callers, and I don't have any phone callers, and I'm doing pretty good on the dabs, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for you.
Happening now in Come On News at 4 o'clock, the Georgia man arrested in a string of deadly shootings at Atlanta massage parlors last night is now charged with 8 counts of murder. Police today revealed that Robert Aaron Long told them he was responsible for the killings, and he said that it wasn't racially motivated. 6 of the 8 people killed were Asian women. The 21-year-old told police he targeted massage parlors because of his sex addiction.
We believe that he frequented these places in the past and may have been lashing out.
Long is expected to be in court tomorrow morning. Police in Atlanta are boosting security around similar businesses as a precaution. President Biden reacting to the mass shooting in Atlanta, saying if they turn out to be racially motivated, it's part of a concerning and growing problem.
Very concerned because, as you know, I've been speaking about the brutality against Asian Americans for the last couple months, and I think it is very, very troublesome.
Community leaders across Western Washington have been speaking out against the rise of violence and vandalism against Asian Americans. KOMO's Suzanne Fawn is live, and locally we saw hateful messages left outside an Asian church. Restaurants have reported vandalism in Chinatown ID. Suzanne?
Indeed, we have seen signs all around. And we can tell you that today, Governor Jay Inslee denounced acts of violence against Asian Americans. So has Mayor Jenny Durkin, and so have members of the Asian Pacific Islander community. On this street corner in Newcastle today, about 3 dozen people gathered to denounce hate crimes and acts of violence directed at Asian Americans. It's part of a week-long awareness campaign that started at Hing Hay Park last weekend. Hundreds of people gathered at Hing Hay Park as part of the We Are Not Silent campaign. Former Governor Gary Locke also made it very clear that hate is a virus. And today, across Chinatown International District, streets were quiet, but many people are very much aware of the violence that played out in Atlanta that ended with several Asian women shot to death. Renton City Councilwoman Kim Kan-van has been at the forefront in denouncing the violence against our API community.
Hate is the virus here that we're targeting, and it's not a new thing. But now it's just on camera. It's more visible, especially at the onset of the pandemic, calling it a Chinese virus versus a COVID-19 pandemic. The community is going through a grieving process, but like I say, we're a resilient community. And I believe in the American people. I believe in our AAPI communities that will come out strong.
In the Chinatown International District, we talked to CISC, the Chinese Information Service Center. They now have handouts and videos in English and various languages to help people report hate crimes or racist incidents. Now, coming up at 6 p.m., we'll hear from a business owner in the Chinatown International District, and we'll hear more about what's being done to keep those people who work and live there safe. Live in Seattle, Suzanne Fawn, KOMO News.
Alright, boys and girls, I'm down to my last couple videos here. I have one left from Kennedy about Utah banning pornography. In case you didn't see that story earlier, I figured I should make sure to point it out. Again, limiting your freedom, limiting the people's freedom. This is what I'm telling you. In Alabama or Arkansas, I think a couple other states, they have laws against genitalia stimulating devices, which basically means your girlfriend or your wife or your daughter can't have a vibrator. And I don't know how fucked up you are that you don't want whatever, you know. If this is what your lady wants, this is something that you should make sure that she has, so that when you want something and she doesn't go instead of like, you got it, buddy, because those are the words you want to hear. And you know, whatever else. I don't want to go into a whole lot of details other than, you know, what you call the electric toothbrushes and shower massage heads. Again, you want to be involved. Trust me. Okay, so that being said, I don't have any callers still, which means I'm going to go ahead and play another video. Since we're showing, I'm going to save the Kennedy video for last, where she talks about banning pornography in Utah. Since we're going ahead and showing people trying to get away from a shark, I'm going to show you the video about the hospital ship that was so important when the COVID-19 broke out back. It seems so far away now, doesn't it?
5,100 deaths. Nearly 20,000 people in our state have been hospitalized since the pandemic began a year ago. A new report claims then-President Trump blocked a Navy hospital ship from coming to our area at the start of the pandemic. ABC's Jonathan Karl explains what happened in a crucial White House meeting that allegedly determined where the hospital ship Mercy would go.
The Mercy was on the way, ready to go, and the president said, wait a minute, why is it going to Seattle? And he goes, come on, that jerk in Washington State, he was talking about the governor up there, Mike Inslee, who had been clashing with him. He's been such a jerk. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has been saying the nicest things about me.
The Mercy did, in fact, end up going to California instead of Seattle. We asked the governor's office about this today, and a spokesperson told us, quote, we are not looking backwards. We are looking forward. We are glad that our response to the pandemic has helped save lives and reduce cases, as did Governor Newsom's approach.
So I guess we're not. Now we know for sure that we're no longer in a state of emergency. And you know, I keep seeing this fucking cunt, Anthony Fauci, right? And I keep thinking, oh, you know, what's going on in his head is, oh, we have to keep this thing going on as long as possible because otherwise, you know, no one's gonna know who I am anymore. You know, I'm not gonna be in the spotlight. I'm not gonna be the go-to guy on everything. You know, fuck Anthony Fauci. I'm not gonna be the respected expert that I am. Fuck that guy. You know, and again, I always say that for-profit medicine has this alternative motive. You know, again, and it's like, you know, the CIA needs terrorists. The local police department needs crime. Oh, dang, I forgot where I was going. CIA, terrorists. Anthony Fauci needs a plague, and otherwise he's no longer someone that we recognize. He's no longer this important figure, right? Everybody's not looking at him anymore. So Anthony Fauci needs the plague not to go away. Needs the plague. Needs a surge in the plague. You can't wait until after spring break. This is so dangerous. This could be this super spreader event that we've been waiting for. Again, that's what Anthony Fauci hopes that happens. You know, because that means he gets to be relevant for another month or two. And I despise these people. And I think he's probably another one that needs to go to prison forever as soon as we can figure out if he was funding the Wuhan chemical lab, as we've seen reported in Newsweek magazine. Newsweek being one of the big mainstream media, still in print magazines. That he was funding the Wuhan lab. And if that's true, and then we find out the virus escaped from the Wuhan lab, and then he became one of the leading experts in the world who we all had to focus on and give our attention to. That's kind of like these guys that's kind of almost like creating a terrorist attack so that you can make war around the world. Right? This is our country, you guys. And I know we can do better. I know that we're better people than this. I just despise these people that are, you know, holding us back from having an amazing, good world, a world that everybody has a place in. That would be awesome. Not just, Anthony Fauci's of the world who create problems and then prolong them so that they can be like the never-ending wars based on lies, right? Based on lies, meaning this war was created by people who wanted a war in order to profit off of. And then they keep it going and keep it going and keep it going because they continue to profit off of it. Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Liz Cheney, Chuck Schumer, all these assholes. Same thing with the drug war. They know it's hurting Americans. They know it's causing a heroin epidemic in this country. And year after year after year, they fight tooth and nail to keep that drug war firmly in place and well funded. That's the government we have, don't you know? Okay, Kennedy's coming up next.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
Let's see. So, I'm watching CNN and I'm seeing like they're talking about Asian Americans being attacked, right? With racial slurs during the pandemic, and they're showing video after video of them being hit or smashed down, kicked by people, passing by, and they go, Asian people are suck, and they go and attack them, right? And like every video that CNN is showing is a black person attacking an Asian person. And that seems kind of racist to me of CNN to be showing these black people being so racist. I mean, black people can't be racist, but CNN sure can. But they're the good guys. They're the bleeding heart liberal news, right? So how could they possibly be racist? Okay, so video with Kennedy talking about Utah banning pornography. I think that's important to see because, again, limiting freedom. This is the government we have. This is what our government has been about for at least the last 100 years. And we deserve a better government than that. And there's no way that we should be supporting these people limiting freedom. Again, you don't want them telling them you can't live the way you think you should live, so why would you think it's okay for them to tell someone else that they can't live the way they choose to live? And why can't you see that in saying it's okay for them to do that makes it okay for them to say the same thing to you? You can't live your life the way you choose. And I'm pretty sure most of you would prefer not to have the government telling you to do that, even though that's what they're telling you to do every single day with their ever-expanding police state. Here's Kennedy talking about Utah banning pornography.
Our long national nightmare is over.
after reuniting in the Dominican Republic. A-Rod and J-Lo are back together. Ah! However, they're still working on the same problems they've had for years. She always gets too loud, and he only scores when he's cheating. Allegedly. That's a power hitter and a power couple, and this is the topical storm topic number 1. On a highway in Bakersfield, California, a man gave new meaning to the term truck nut. Watch this. Boy, this new Batman is really low budget, friends, but I guess it can't be worse than the Ben Affleck movie. Yeah, that was horrible. At least one guy found a way around those California gas prices. And I have to admit, it's safer than taking the New York City subway right now. Plus, it's got to smell better than being in an Uber. The man says he doesn't think of himself as a hitchhiker, more like a bumper sticker. A lot could have gone wrong here, obviously. Luckily, he was clinging on with the grip of that science teacher to Mackenzie Bezos. He's like, I may be homely, but she loves me. That's a compliment in a lot of countries. Meanwhile, the trucker says he had no idea any of this was happening. He feels like a total idiot because the whole time he could have been in the carpool lane. It's California, top number 2. Top number 3. Porn! The Utah legislature has passed a bill that will require all cell phones to automatically block pornography in the state. This is going to get weird when the men in Utah start pretending the only way they can get cell reception is in Colorado. Utah Governor Spencer Cox. That's a porn name, isn't it? Now has until March 25th to decide if he'll sign the anti-porn bill or if he'll Cox block it. Ow! With a veto. This measure would apply to all pornography in Utah, even videos they consider wholesome, like a guy and his 3 wives. Yeah, take it off. Civil liberties lawyers say even if the bill does become law, it would likely be struck down in court over First Amendment violations. At least that's what they said after they pulled up their legal briefs. Pornography is a huge problem in Utah and has been for some time. In fact, even one of the senators is a total wanker. Actually, this bill won't affect Mitt Romney because he only gets turned on by Reader's Digest. And it's a poem using only adjectives. Topic number 4. California theme parks, including Disneyland, Universal Studios, Six Flags, asking visitors not to scream on their roller coasters to prevent COVID. So now people in California will only scream when they see their tax bill. The California Amusement Park Association says under their reopening guidelines, screaming will not be outright banned, but it will be strongly discouraged, which is the same policy Governor Cuomo has for his staff. Actually, this policy only came about because Californians keep screaming, "Recall Newsom!" everywhere they go. The shouting guidelines also apply to indoor attractions and shows. Also, I, you, and we can no longer scream for ice cream. It might seem like a challenge not to hoot and holler on your favorite coaster, but already one Californian is showing us the way. He made an entire ride without uttering a sound. Talk about leading by example. This man's a hero.
She is so funny. Pornography in Utah is a huge problem. I'm so sure. It's a huge problem around the world, Kennedy. Don't you know? Again, these people hate your freedom. They're not going to limit their access to pornography because they have, their elite is cunts who have all the power and all the money. So the rules don't apply to them. They're just going to limit other people's freedom. Again, the lesser amongst us. The people who have much less freedom to give away. And why? Because they can. So, and you think anybody in Utah is going to stand up and say, hell no, we don't want our pornography banned? Because I don't think there's a lot of people in Utah that are going to do that. And it's not that they don't feel that way. It's just that there's all this judgment in society now. And you can't speak out. You can't be human. You can't say, don't knock masturbation because it's sex with someone I love. Because, I truly mean that. You can't say these things because then people look at you all cross-eyed. You can't take away freedom talking about pornography, especially if you live in Utah, I would guess, with total wankers like that in power. She's so funny, cock block it. She says things no one else in the news says. This is all I'm saying. All right, boys and girls, that is all my videos, right? Is that all of them? Yeah, that's all of them. We did them all. So, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow night. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. And I hope we see you there because it's always better when you're here. So until then, please remember, one of these days this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united.